Good evening. Not guilty. That's the verdict from the judge who oversaw the trial of 5 men, former members of Canada's World Junior Hockey team, who've been charged with sexual assault.
In her decision, the judge at the high-profile trial, which saw a mistrial declared and a jury be dismissed, said evidence given by the female complainant was, quote, not credible or reliable. CTV's Adrian Gabriel has the latest from London.
The pressure-packed culmination of a historic 8-week criminal trial.
Definitely been emotional for everybody involved.
With the defendants arriving for decision day inside, the proceedings began with a recap of the evidence brought before the courts. Justice Maria Caracia opened by proclaiming that she didn't find the evidence of EM, the complainant, to be either credible or reliable.
There were videos that were put to her. There was testimony of other hockey players. She was heavily cross-examined on that to raise some doubt about her credibility.
During a brief break in today's proceedings before the verdicts were even delivered, the accused hockey players were seen smiling and hugging their lawyers and family members in the courtroom. While delivering her verdicts, Justice Caracia told the court that where EM had gaps in her memory, she filled them with assumptions. Going on to share that EM testified that while at Jack's Bar in London, Ontario, it was the players who bought her drinks all night, though video evidence shows EM purchasing multiple beverages herself. Previously, EM told the courts that on the night of June 18, 2018, she'd arrived at a downtown hotel with Michael McLeod, where they had consensual sex. Afterwards, McLeod then sent this text message to teammates asking who wants to be in a, quote, three-way. Multiple teammates arrived at room 209. EM alleged that she was, quote, manipulated and intimidated into remaining inside this hotel room. Though in her findings, Justice Caracia shared that she couldn't find any of the players guilty of sexual assault beyond a reasonable doubt. Former World Junior Team Canada captain Dylan Dubé and teammates Cal Foote, Carter Hart, Michael McLeod, and Alex Fermenton have each been found not guilty of sexual assault. McLeod has also been found not guilty of being party to the offense.
We heard protesters scream for justice today. Has justice been served?
Yes, I think that's what everybody wants. Everybody wants to see justice served here, and Justice Caracia has done a thorough and careful analysis and delivered a just verdict, and so that's what we've seen here today.
And Adrian Gabriel joins us live from the London courthouse with more. Adrian, the judge took several hours to explain her decision. What impact did that have on those in the courtroom?
Yeah, Nathan, more than 5 hours it took. For those in the courtroom, early on when she began going through the evidence through this trial, we heard family members of the accused gasp. We heard them, we heard people crying, tears of joy, actually, from multiple family members that were there inside that courtroom supporting the defendants. In intermissions and lunch breaks that were in small breaks that took place throughout the day, Nathan, we saw family members go up to some of the defendants, some of the players from that 2018 World Junior Hockey team go up and hug those players. We saw handshakes. We saw the lawyers hugging their players and shaking their hands. And really, a lot of that was happening even before the verdicts were officially read out, though there was a strong indication as to where Justice Maria Caracia was going today with her verdicts.
You know, and the judge's verdict was pretty firm. Were people outside the courthouse surprised by the decision?
Nathan, for those who have been closely following this trial, there were not a lot of surprises. There was a strong indication early on in this trial, in this 8-week trial, of where Justice Maria Caracia was going. It was clear that there were some questions about the credibility of the complainant's testimony, the defense poking holes in the alleged victim's testimony over multiple days. So not a lot of surprise. And now we look forward, Nathan, there's a group of 5 former teammates who are going to try and put their lives back together. And of course, we can't forget the complainant, EM. She strongly believed that she was sexually assaulted on the night of June 18th and early into the morning hours of June 19th, 2018. Where does this leave her? What type of closure can she find? It's will be a difficult road ahead for all parties involved.
For sure. CTV's Adrian Gabriel outside the London courthouse. Thank you.
Thank you.
Also tonight on CTV News, we will look at how this trial and its verdict could affect future sexual assault cases, and we'll hear from those who showed up outside the courthouse today in support of the accuser.
But first, hot and humid weather has descended over the GTA.
Tonight, there are several weather advisories in place for the region as residents try to stay cool on a day that felt like it was in the mid-40s. CTV's Allison Hurst is live tonight from McGregor Park Pool, where swimmers are trying to beat the heat. Allison.
Natalie, and look how busy it is here behind me. This is just what we've seen. Lots of people heading to the beach or the splash pad, all wanting to enjoy this beautiful weather, but also beat the heat. Sweltering heat blankets the city.
Well, we brought water, and there's ice in it as well, so I think we should be fine.
Environment Canada has issued a heat warning saying it could feel into the 40s.
Everybody's hot. Everybody would rather be on a beach somewhere in a pair of shorts, but what are you going to do? That's work.
Tyler Jenkins and his crew are doing underground infrastructure work, and he says they're taking extra precautions.
Heat breaks, lots of AC, everybody alternates, and lots of water. We buy ice and just keep everything cool for everybody.
Meanwhile, this crew is laying pavers and taking frequent breaks to deal with the heat.
Drinking more cool water and wear a hat.
Officials recommend finding shade outside and drinking lots of water, especially while enjoying some summer activities.
So far, it's great. I like it. The hot weather, it just hits nice.
But it's still like super hot, like everything is like burning, like my lips are burning off and stuff.
It's like good to have warm weather, but sometimes it gets like too hot, but it's like good that they have water filling stations here.
The City of Toronto is also adding water trailers across the city, opening up 100 additional shelter spots and keeping a handful of outdoor pools open late. Yvonne Chu and her family came to Rouge Beach looking for a break.
We've been here all day since afternoon, and at 12, it was too hot. So we came to the beach,
Fareed Mohammed says it's hot, but the breeze is making it manageable for fishing.
I got a couple of bites, but no fish. They caught some down there, but it's been fun.
This heat wave is expected to continue into tomorrow. City staff say those water trailers will be in place by 9:30 a.m. tomorrow. And Environment Canada is warning anyone who doesn't have any air conditioning in their house to close some blinds or shades and get some fans going because they say it is unlikely overnight we'll get a break from the heat. Reporting live, I'm Allison Hurst. Nathan, back to you.
Thank you, Allison. Let's talk more about the forecast. Here's a live look at the city. And as Allison was saying, usually we get a bit of a cool down in the evening, but not tonight. It's boiling hot. The heat alert is expected to stay in effect until tomorrow, so keep that in mind. As well, there are showers expected. All right, let's chat with Lindsay Morrison. And Lindsay, lots happening in the weather department.
Absolutely, Nathan. And not only showers, but thunderstorms, maybe severe thunderstorms in our neck of the woods as well. I want to show you where the active weather is currently. There are two areas that we're paying close attention to. One is to the east of Georgian Bay. Earlier this afternoon, there was a tornado warning in the Dunchurch area. About an hour ago, there was a tornado warning around North Bay. We're tracking some thunderstorms around Huntsville and then from Halliburton over toward the Barry's Bay area. The second area that I want to focus on here is this squall line that's been impacting areas along the beach from Kincardine over toward the Saugeen Shores, Owen Sound, Wyerton, and now into the Blue Mountains area. And the tiny beaches starting to get some thunderstorm activity too. Very powerful winds associated with this line. Some reports of damage already, some trees down, and of course thunder, lightning, and heavy downpours. If you are in one of these areas currently under a severe thunderstorm warning, those are the areas in orange. Good time to seek shelter now. Here in Toronto, we are under a severe thunderstorm watch. That means conditions are favorable for thunderstorms. We're also under that heat warning, which we've been talking about. It is 33 degrees right now, feeling like 42. Window of opportunity this evening, anytime from about 8 p.m. to midnight. I want you to keep an eye on the sky and an ear out for thunder. We'll take you through what you need to know when it comes to the severe weather and how long this heat is going to last coming up. For now, Nathan, back to you.
Thank you, Lizzie. At Toronto City Hall, councillors were grappling with a controversial plan for 6 proposed shelters.
In the end, council voted to advance development of the sites despite plenty of pushback over the process. CTV Sean Leithong is live tonight at City Hall with more. Sean.
Well, Natalie and Nathan, that pushback you talked about came in the form of councillors talking about the process itself perhaps being flawed. Perhaps they should slow down and give a second look at some of these locations. But those who are in favor of the shelters say that this issue is far too important and these shelters are far too needed to stop now.
The debate over shelters has one piece of common ground.
We need shelters, we need to build them, no question.
Council today voting to advance the development of 6 shelters, but the process to select those locations was the subject of fierce debate.
Fight for a return to common decency.
When these shelter locations were announced, some were met with fierce resistance, with some councillors echoing those concerns.
The one in my ward, which I'm opposing, and many of the ones on the slate are good sites. The one, and this is where we've got to be smart and look at site by site. The one in my ward where Gerard ends literally and becomes a residential street is embedded in a very residential community filled with young families.
With pro-shelter councillors arguing that the housing crisis and helping people move out of encampments and into a shelter is far too important to slow the process.
The objection of some should not overrule the public good for everyone in the city. And so we're going to have to just roll up our sleeves and work with people to overcome their concerns.
As has been policy since 2017, city staff are tasked with selecting the locations, with objections focusing on the process itself.
Because right now we go out under the guise of public consultation on decisions that have already been made. And people rightly don't respond very well to that.
And in many cases, the city has already gone and bought the property or made commitments on the shelter. So why would they think that any of these opportunities are other than a sham for the citizens to provide their input on the process? It turns out it's not.
With others accusing those who are opposed to this process as playing pure politics.
The thing that council can't police is that if some members of council want to dog whistle and rage farm and try to frighten people into, signing their petition so they can use their name politically.
And these 6 shelters are just the first 6 in a proposed plan that would ultimately see 20 shelters added in the city. Now, the first 6 aren't expected to open until 2027. Reporting live, I'm Sean Leathong. Natalie, I'll send it back to you.
Okay, thank you, Sean. Also at City Hall today, councillors voted to streamline the approval process for certain patio permits so that objections from as few as 2 neighbours can't hold up the summer season for restaurants. CTV News first brought you the story of a brunch bistro in the Beaches that was missing prime patio season after its renewal application was automatically rejected because of 2 undisclosed objections. The local councillor Brad Bradford proposed increasing the number of objections required to deny a patio application to 25% of neighbours. Today, his council colleagues agreed to change the rules. Coming up on CTV News, drones deployed as trapped BC miners await rescue from the rubble. 2 days after the workers were trapped in a tunnel, the effort to reach them continues. We'll bring you the latest from the Red Chris mine just ahead.
The OPP says a 52-year-old Aurelia man is facing charges accused of impaired driving. Sean McInnes, who works as a senior multimedia journalist with CTV News, was arrested last night. Police say they received a call from a member of the public who claimed they saw a driver consuming what they believe to be alcohol while parked outside a local business. That caller then followed the vehicle until officers arrived, and McInnes was arrested. He's charged with operation while impaired, and operation while impaired with a blood alcohol concentration of 80 milligrams or more. In a statement, Bell Media, the parent company of CTV News, says, "We can confirm the OPP report that a CTV News staff member has been charged with alcohol-related offenses while operating a corporate vehicle. The staff member has been suspended while we conduct an internal investigation. We have no further comment at this time." Meanwhile, one person was hurt in a brawl at Wet n Wild Toronto, a water park located in Brampton. Peel police say they were called to the park just before 6:30 last night for reports of a group of people fighting near the entrance. By the time officers arrived, the fight had dispersed. One person was found with an injury. They were assessed by paramedics at the scene. Police say they're searching for one suspect in connection with the fight.
Peel police have made a 3rd arrest in connection with a homicide 2 months ago in Mississauga. Back on May 14th, investigators say 51-year-old Harjeet Datta of Brampton was shot several times in a parking lot near Tranmere Drive and Telford Way. He did not survive, and a few weeks later, investigators arrested 21-year-old Aman Aman and 21-year-old Dijvijay. Both 21-year-old men are from Delta, BC. Today, they confirmed the arrest of 22-year-old Shahil in Surrey, BC. The 3 men face charges of first-degree murder here in Ontario as the investigation continues.
Efforts continue tonight to reach 3 workers trapped underground at a mine in northwestern British Columbia.
They're going to attach cameras and lights to the drones so that when they go in, they can get a visual of how the workers are. And they can attach stuff like lightweight stuff like notes or markers so that there can be communication.
A remote control scoop is also being used in the rescue effort at the Red Chris mine. The men became trapped Tuesday after 2 rock falls. They're stuck behind a pile of debris 20 to 30 meters long and 7 to 8 meters high. The men are in a refuge area with enough air, food, and water for an extended stay. But the second collapse cut off their communication. The mine's co-owners say they work for a drilling company and are from BC, Ontario, and Manitoba. It's an ever-shifting goalpost for a Canada-U.S. trade deal.
The latest to weigh in again is the U.S. ambassador to Canada, suggesting a framework for a deal may not happen by August 1st. CTV's Abigail Beeman reports.
Dominic LeBlanc wrapped up Washington meetings, including with Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick, for now.
We're going to continue to work towards the August 1st deadline. We're going to be back here again next week. But all of these deadlines are with the understanding that we'll take the time necessary to get the best deal.
While this Republican senator is less optimistic about the timing.
I wish that I could say it feels good that this is all going to be taken care of before the 1st of August, but I'm not sensing that.
Still, Canada is stressing there's progress, the ambassador pointing to the Prime Minister's announcement targeting cheap foreign steel imports.
The measures that Canada has taken on steel, in particular against anti-circumvention, are some of the strongest in the world, and that has been recognized and very much appreciated. So we're making some positive progress.
They say they're hurt and they were insulted, and it's kind of like, well, it's not a whole lot of people or countries that we've asked to become the 51st state that I can remember.
Meanwhile, we're hearing more from U.S. Ambassador to Canada, Pete Hoekstra. CTV News obtained the full video of his comments at a summit where he made headlines for this.
Well, there are reasons why the president and some of his team refer to Canada as being mean and nasty to deal with.
He also weighed in on that August 1st deadline.
Whether it's August 1, I don't see it extending a lot past that. I'd be surprised if we were still talking about it on September 1.
Ambassador Hoekstra also said he's optimistic about the future, but there needs to be more advocates for the Canada-U.S. relationship. From his position, 90 days into the job, he says there aren't any. As he put it, there are political parties saying elbows up and relative quiet from the business community. Abigail Beeman, CTV News, Ottawa.
An Iqaluit resident who has worked in local Inuit governments has been appointed Canada's Arctic ambassador. Virginia Mearns will oversee Ottawa's $35 million foreign policy for the region that was introduced last December. Canada is seeking deeper ties with circumpolar nations at a time of rising security concerns there. Mearns is tasked with advancing Canada's polar interests in multilateral forums and engaging with counterparts in Arctic and non-Arctic states. Saying peace is possible, France has announced it will recognize a Palestinian state. Emmanuel Macron says he will formalize the decision at the United Nations General Assembly in September. The French president added that he hopes it will help bring peace to the region. France is the first major Western power to recognize a Palestinian state. It joins more than 140 other countries, including more than a dozen in Europe. Israel says today's announcement is, quote, a disgrace and a surrender to terrorism.
In the UK, a rare snow leopard cub has been born as part of a conservation effort to save the endangered species. The cub is the first of its kind to be born at the Chester Zoo in its 94-year history. Video from the zoo's den camera showed the 6-week-old and its mother playing and dozing off in the enclosure. The cub's parents were carefully matched together last year as part of an international conservation breeding program. The cub's birth follows the opening of the zoo's Himalayan habitat in May 2024. It boasts a vast, rocky environment intended to recreate the mountainous terrain of Central Asia.
Just ahead on CTV News, the wrestling world reels from the death of a larger-than-life icon. More on the legendary life of Hulk Hogan coming up.
So in addition to the risk of thunderstorms for this evening, we could see a few showers follow us into the day tomorrow, but it will mainly be a morning event. We expect some clearing for your Friday afternoon. Temperature-wise, it's not as hot as today at 31 degrees, but still very muggy. It's going to feel like 40 again tomorrow afternoon. And it's not heat warning criteria for the weekend, but we remain quite warm. In fact, next week, there are several 30-degree days on tap. We'll take you through the 7-day forecast coming coming up. And stay with us. We've got another full night of great shows for you right here on CTV.
When you see it happen, send it to CTV News. Text 10400 from your screen to ours. Text 10400.
Today, we mark the passing of Hulk Hogan, the larger-than-life pro wrestling legend who dominated the sport for decades and who in recent years was an avid and vocal supporter of Donald Trump.
He also tackled film and TV before experiencing health issues. CTV's Genevieve Beauchemin looks back on the life and career of the 71-year-old Hulkster.
Hulk Hogan's legacy is tied to wrestling, of course, but ever the performer. He also took his trademark horseshoe mustache and bandanas to the music world and to TV and movie screens.
The ultimate male versus the ultimate meatball.
Including in Rocky III, that propelled him to stardom. Hogan was born Terry Jean Bolea in Georgia, the son of a construction worker and a dance teacher. He built that massive physique and earned his stage name. As fellow wrestlers commented, he was bigger than Lou Ferrigno, who played Hulk on TV.
Look at this!
He then slammed his way to the very top of worldwide wrestling stardom, at his peak defeating Andre the Giant with a body slam. He often leaned into the ring persona of a flag-waving, heroic All-American.
Eat your vitamins. Be true to yourself, true to your country. Be a real American.
Though he also later played a villain, as both he had fans around the globe, including Montreal, where in 1997, Jacques Rougeau became the only Canadian wrestler to land a win against Hogan.
The greatest of all times, Hulk Hogan. And I love you, Hulk.
Rougeau last saw his friend 6 months ago as they signed championship belts.
He signed it in my name. He says, "You're the only one who beat me in Canada." He says, "You deserve this belt."
Hogan was admired by many, but faced several controversies. In 1994, he was forced to admit in court to years of steroid use and later to apologize for a racist rant caught on video. Through it all, though, his superstardom in and out of the ring remained embedded in pop culture. Hogan died at the age of 71 of cardiac arrest. Genevieve Beauchemin, CTV News, Montreal.
Okay, let's turn back to the weather story right now. It is hot out tonight. Perfect weather, maybe, for the Taste of Vietnam behind us here at Nathan Phillips Square and the Beaches Jazz Fest down on Queen East.
You know, you can actually feel the heat if you walk outside. It's like a wall, so you're walking into a sauna.
Yes, as the phrase goes, it's not the heat, it's the humidity. Well, today it's a bit of both, isn't it? Core temperature into the 30s for us today in the city of Toronto, feeling into the 40s, though. Tomorrow it will be more the humidity, and we've got some thunderstorms that we're tracking at this hour that really aren't going to do a whole lot to cool us down. Let us show you what it looked like earlier today in the Barrie area. That is a busy beach. Lots of people looking for ways to beat the heat, keep cool. Yeah, that's one way to do it. The sun scorching today. We were at a 9 or even 10 today in some areas on the UV index. I want to point out, too, that at one point today, Muskoka, Ontario, the hot spot of Canada, 34 degrees today. And that's also one area that's now bracing for some thunderstorm activity. So here's our current satellite and radar imagery. If you're joining us from Port Carling, Honey Harbor, you've got some active weather headed your way. Midland, Penetanguishene now starting to be impacted by these storms. And we'll move a little bit further south so you can see the tail of this squall line now impacting areas, inching closer toward areas like Orangeville, for example. There is a severe thunderstorm warning in place there as well. I do anticipate that this line is going to weaken somewhat as it inches closer to the GTA, but in any case, plan on the possibility of active weather through the evening hours tonight. This is a good sign. Severe thunderstorm warning coming to an end for areas like Kincardine and the Saugeen Shores. But if you are joining us from any of these communities in orange, hopefully you have found shelter because the thunderstorms are imminent or occurring. In the GTA, we are under a severe thunderstorm watch. I'll remind you of the difference between the two. A watch means conditions are favorable for the development of storms. Doesn't necessarily mean that they are happening, but we do suspect that we will get into some stormy weather as we continue through the evening hours tonight. Maybe not the powerful 100-kilometer-per-hour gusts like we're seeing in some areas north and west of here, but could still experience strong, maybe even damaging winds. Small hail possible in some areas too. Of course, thunder, lightning. When thunder roars, it's time to head indoors, and perhaps a quick downpour. The faster this line moves, the less concerned we are about flooding rains, for example, and the more concerned we are about the wind. So there's about 8:30 p.m. tonight on our forecast radar. Still going to be dealing with some active weather around the midnight hour, and then through the overnight, we continue to see potential for some showers or passing storms. Into your Friday morning, might deal with some wet weather and certainly some cloud. This is going to clear, though, as we make our way into the afternoon, a mix of sun and cloud kind of day, and as mentioned, still quite muggy. The weekend brings us some relief from the heat. We've got a couple of opportunities for some showers, which we're going to talk about in your 7-day forecast, but let's bring it back to the heat. There's the warning that remains in place and will through tonight, through tomorrow, because it's still going to feel like 40 at times. Feels like 42 right now. Temperature is still 33 degrees at Pearson. Tonight, we're dropping to a not so low of 23 degrees. That is very uncomfortable for sleeping, especially if you don't have access to air conditioning. Waking up tomorrow morning, again, this is our best bet for some wet weather tomorrow. The afternoon should be a little brighter, and notice how daytime highs are in the upper 20s and maybe around 30 as opposed to the mid-30s as we experienced in some areas today. But yes, plan on the possibility of some active weather, and then into the weekend, heads up Saturday evening, overnight into Sunday morning, could get a few more showers once again. But it is relatively cooler for the weekend. Don't get too used to that. Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, our highs are back in the 30s. That's the forecast for now. Nathan, over to you.
Thank you, Lindsay. Just ahead tonight, taking the mound in Motown. The red-hot Blue Jays are in Detroit in a clash of American League Division leaders. We have a preview coming up. Returning to our top story, 5 men, all part of Team Canada's World Junior Hockey team back in 2018, have all been found not guilty of sexual assault. The verdict's delivered in a London courtroom this afternoon.
Outside the courthouse, a large group turned out to support the complainant. Many who worry the verdict will set back efforts to convince the victims of sexual abuse to come forward to police. Here's CTV's John Benavelli Rao.
Representatives from more than a dozen sex assault centers made their presence known in London, there to support the complainant, and disappointed by the judge's decision.
It makes me sick. You know, it's gutting. It's absolutely gutting.
Those who work with abused women say the trial, regardless of outcome, showed problems in how sexual assault complaints are handled, pointing to the 9 days of questioning and cross-examination EM was subjected to.
She was put on the stand and put through the ringer, and it was excruciating to watch and listen.
This is probably why I have this sign, because that is one courageous woman, one strong woman, to do what she did for us.
And they worry the high-profile nature of the case and not guilty verdicts could make the victims of sexual crimes more reluctant to come forward. A report last year found just 6% of sexual assaults are reported to police, and 1 in 19 of those led to a sentence involving custody.
The sad part about it is some of it is not surprising just because of the system and how it's continued to let down victims and survivors who come forward.
And the case ignited fresh conversations about sex and the culture surrounding sport in Canada.
If I had a son who was in a room that night, I would be very upset. Regardless of whether you think a crime was committed or not, I think we can all agree it was a bad situation. And for the men that were involved in that hotel room, I think at least one of them should have had the wherewithal to speak up and say, guys, this isn't right.
Some say the verdict doesn't erase concerns about hockey culture and the power dynamics that can exist, and being legal isn't synonymous with moral approval. John Benavelli Rao, CTV News, London, Ontario.
A warning to share with you tonight from public health officials about potential hepatitis A exposures at a Toronto eatery. Toronto Public Health says they have confirmed a case of the virus in an employee at Earl's Kitchen and Bar at 601 King Street West. The virus is often spread through food, and officials say that could have happened during the workers' shifts on July 11th, 12th, 15th and 16th. Anyone who may have been exposed is asked to watch for symptoms including fever and stomach pains. Public Health is offering vaccination clinics at Metro Hall tomorrow and Saturday to those who may have been exposed. The vaccine is considered most effective when received within 14 days of exposure. Also today, Public Health Ontario shared its weekly update on the ongoing measles outbreak in this province. The figures show 22 more infections, although officials say that number includes some older measles cases that were just linked to the outbreak based on lab testing. Nearly 2,300 infections have been reported in the surge of cases that started last October. The update says measles transmission appears to be slowing down, but continued vigilance is needed.
Canada's largest operator of retirement residences is buying an additional 6 communities in southern Ontario. Chartwell Retirement Residences shared the news this week. The company says it's entered an agreement to buy 6 communities across Mississauga, Waterloo, and London at a price tag of $432 million. The price also includes excess land on the lot of Erinview Retirement Suites in Mississauga. The deal is expected to close at the end of this year.
The Toronto International Film Festival is set with the lineup for one of its most beloved movie slates, Midnight Madness. Each night of the festival, film fans will gather at 11:59 p.m. Screenings at the Royal Alexandra Theatre to take in what organizers call the very best and most bizarre in contemporary genre and shock cinema. On the first night, it'll feature the Canadian premiere of Matt Johnson's Toronto-set film Nirvana the Band, the show, the movie. Other featured titles will include Normal by director Ben Wheatley and Das Bunny by director Brian Fuller. The 50th edition of TIFF runs September 4th through the 14th.
Celebrated filmmaker Guillermo del Toro expressed his love for Toronto many times, and today he received the city's highest honor. Mayor Chow presented him with a key to the city at an event today, recognizing his impact on our city's film industry. Del Toro, who lives in Toronto part of the year, has shot several of his biggest movies here, including Oscar winner The Shape of Water. He often posts online about his favorite spots in the city. Del Toro talked about his history in Toronto at today's ceremony.
I came here 30 years ago mainly to meet David Cronenberg and Carol Spear. And because I think that everybody that presents Toronto in a beautiful way becomes an ambassador to it. Every citizen becomes an ambassador. And David is one of the greatest ambassadors. And then I made the most difficult shoot I've ever had, Mimic. So one would wonder, well, he should have run away. But the crew was amazing. Everybody was amazing. We got really drunk on Fridays on the camera truck. And I like that on Fridays.
Mayor Chow talked about the importance of Del Toro's contribution to this city's film industry.
Guillermo's productions have employed hundreds and hundreds of Torontonians in the film industry, technical crew, background performers, actors from every cultural background. And since 2017 and even before, Guillermo has helped put Toronto on the global cinematic map. And today we recognize that impact and thank him for choosing our place as a city, a place to dream, the restaurant that you can eat at, the shop that you can shop at. I followed you so that I can find out even more about our city.
As part of today's ceremony, Toronto's Cinespace Studios renamed its Marine Terminal campus Guillermo del Toro Stages.
Still ahead, hitting it out of the park with Windsor Wood. The Canadian connection to the backyard bats taking a swing at the majors. That's coming up.
Justice been served.
Yes, I think that's what everybody wants. Everybody wants to see justice served here.
Updating our top stories, all 5 former members of Canada's World Junior Hockey team have been found not guilty after a high-profile sexual assault trial. The presiding justice took some 5 hours to deliver her verdict and passed judgment on the evidence that led her to it. The judge said she did not find the evidence given by the accuser to be either credible or reliable.
The objection of some should not overrule the public good for everyone in the city.
A controversial plan to advance the construction of 6 homeless shelters has been approved by City Council. Some community groups have decried the lack of consultation on the proposed sites, but councillors today voted in favor of moving forward with the plan to create more spaces at a time of housing crisis.
Everybody's hot. Everybody would rather be on a beach somewhere in a pair of shorts, but what are you going to do? That's work.
And Toronto's under a heat warning tonight after sweltering temperatures descended over the GTA. The city's keeping additional shelter spots open tonight and keeping some public pools open late in an effort to help people beat the heat. The heat wave is expected to continue tomorrow.
Remember to keep up to date day and night at ctvnewstoronto.ca and by downloading the CTV News app. And if you have a news tip, photo, or video of breaking news, let us know.
Predictions about copper production had an impact on Canadian stocks today, which ended the day down from yesterday's record close. BNN Bloomberg's Andrew Bell has the latest in business.
Hello there. Toronto's composite stock index slipped today, weighed down in part by giant miner Teck Resources. Teck cut its 2025 copper production forecast to as low as 470,000 tonnes, mainly due to glitches at the company's gigantic Quebrada Blanca mine in Chile. But there was good news for Canada's mining sector. Teck will keep digging up copper at its Highland Valley mine in BC until 2046, adding about 18 years of life to the mine to feed growing demand for the red metal. The extension project will cost between $2.1 billion and $2.4 billion, Teck said. U.S. stocks hit a record high. Alphabet, parent of Google and YouTube, climbed 1% after profit beat expectations. The shares are up 30% since early April, and Bloomberg says the run in the stock has made the CEO, Sundar Pichai, a billionaire, and that's rare for a non-founding chief executive. Pichai grew up in a two-room apartment in the southern Indian state of Tamil Nadu before winning a graduate scholarship to Stanford. Tesla slid 8% after revenue declined 12% in that company's latest quarter. Company watchers say the CEO, Elon Musk, has alienated some car buyers with his forays into politics. Associated Press quoted one analyst as warning, quote, Tesla is a toxic brand that's inseparable from its leader. And finally, shares in Loblaw rose almost 5% after second quarter profit per share jumped 12%. The company's big presence in discount food retailing has won it market share, and its pharmacy operations also thrived. The shares are up more than 30% in the past year, but they have slipped from a record high in early June as investors moved into riskier stocks and cut back on the so-called defensive companies that sell staples. On the markets, the Canadian dollar came under pressure. It changed hands at 73.31 US cents, and it was down about 1/4 cent. West Texas Intermediate crude was up slightly. It traded at $66.03, and it was up 78 cents. Our latest fix on Western Canadian Select Oil has it at $53.19, down about 1 cent. And the TSX Composite ended at 27,372.26. It was down just over 44 points. Those are your business headlines. I'm Andrew Bell of BNN Bloomberg.
The Business Report is brought to you by Canadian Western Bank, the bank built for business.
Small business advocates are predicting a difficult second half of the year for Canada's economy. The Canadian Federation of Independent Businesses released a new report today based on responses from hundreds of small and mid-sized businesses. Its report forecasts the country's GDP shrank by 0.8% in the second quarter and could fall a similar amount in the third quarter. If that happens, Canada would be in a technical recession. The CFIB says businesses are dealing with low confidence driven by the U.S. president's tariff policies and confusion over the way forward.
A lot of businesses are uncertain about what they want to do with their own business. That's why we're also forecasting that investments and hiring are going to be contracting in the second and third quarter of this year. This is not good for the economy, and we need this uncertainty to sort of clear so we can have investment resuming and we can have more hiring to support the economy in the second half of this year.
The CFIB says the economic forecast is less concerning than it was at the start of the year, but businesses are still looking for more clarity.
The Toronto Blue Jays are on the road tonight to begin a 4-game series between two of the American League's top teams.
and lifts a high fly ball to left. This one's got some carry. It's gone.
Toronto took 2 of 3 from the New York Yankees this week, including an 8-4 win last night. The first-place Jays now have a 4-game lead over their divisional rivals. Tonight, they take on the Central Division leading Detroit Tigers, who are half a game back of Toronto and Houston for the best record in the American League. Eric Lauer gets the start for the Jays.
As the Blue Jays continue racking up wins, they're doing it with some local lumber in their hands.
As CTV's Brent Lale reports, some of the bats being used to drive in runs are made just a few hours down the 401.
A mammoth batting practice home run off the facing of the 500 level at Rogers Center.
Hit the light blue standard up there.
Vladimir Guerrero Jr. swinging some Canadian-made wood.
Ball's just jumping off his bats. Super exciting. It was 20 years in the making, like me and Paul making bats. And to see a superstar like Vladimir Guerrero Jr. take the swings he was taking, we're very excited.
Windsor area natives and former London Majors players Ryan LaPonce and Paul Lamancia are breaking through in the baseball bat industry.
I did dream about it. I don't think you could ever imagine that you'd have superstars like Nick Castellanos and Bryce Harper swinging.
Backyard Bats has hired the brother of Blue Jays manager John Schneider as their COO. This week, they took advantage of that connection.
Asked me to reach out to Vlad if he wanted to use some. And, you know, Vlad, I think it doesn't really matter what he's swinging. He's going to swing it well. And like what he felt his first round of big. Good Canadian wood, right? I've seen him do that, you know, quite a few times. But he can do that pretty regularly with the backyard bat. That'd be a good thing for him and a good thing for us.
LaPonce and Lamancia had great careers in the Intercounty Baseball League, with LaPonce reaching as high as AAA as a player. They believe their bat is a product of their on-field success.
Me and Paul knowing how to hit, and Paul being that master bat craftsman, I think the players, it resonates with them.
Now the duo are trying to compete with major companies in the industry. It's not easy, but getting it in the players' hands is the first step, then letting their product prove its worth.
I tried as a player to get to the big leagues, and to see our bat there, it's just as satisfying, if not more, just how difficult it is for a bat maker to get this opportunity.
Brent Lale, CTV News.
Still ahead tonight, celebrating access and achievement. A slam dunk for adapted sport with the specialized equipment to make it possible. The success story just ahead.
Tonight, remembering wrestling superstar and pop culture icon Hulk Hogan.
Oh my God, it's Hulk Hogan!
How he became a smash hit and the controversies outside the ring. Later on CTV National News.
Get Toronto's top stories, breaking news alerts, and watch live. Download the CTV News app.
As summer sports season hits its peak, a special event took place in Ajax today.
Parasport Ontario held its annual awards brunch celebrating the power of inclusion and accessibility in recreation. The organization supports efforts to expand inclusion in sports and access to recreation for all. More than $150,000 in specialized equipment was awarded to people with disabilities and the organizations that support them with adapted programming.
I just love playing sports and doing stuff like that. I'm trying to get into the Paralympics. I played for Junior Team Ontario this year.
Parasport means just the world to us. It's such an opportunity for him to meet new people, similar disabilities, some yes, with disabilities, some not. But he's found the world of sledge hockey and just has excelled at that.
Today's event also included a charity golf game. Among those in attendance were Ontario's Seniors and Accessibility Minister Raymond Cho and several Canadian national team and Paralympic athletes.
I want to challenge all of you guys to be the best version of yourselves, to help everybody around you know that whatever they want to do is something that they're capable of doing and that you're there to support. We have this funny thing to say, we listen and we do not judge, but really, what we want to do is we want to support each other, and we don't want to judge each other for the shortcomings. We want to see where we can bridge gaps for one another.
Today's awards ceremony was emceed by longtime Parasport supporter and former CTV News Toronto anchor Ken Shaw.
Aww.
A great MC and a great mentor.
Always looking good. All right, let's talk about the forecast tonight, and we know it's all about the heat.
Yes, and it's also about the thunderstorms. In fact, I want to bring everyone up to speed. Depending on where you're joining us from, you may have seen something flash across your screen, but we have tornado warnings in place again. Here's what that looks like. It's the area in darker red in through central Ontario, South River, Berks Falls, Huntsville, Baysville, Western Algonquin Park, and Lake of Two Rivers currently under this tornado warning. You need to seek shelter if you're in these communities. Areas in orange under a severe thunderstorm warning. We here in the GTA under a severe thunderstorm watch. And as this squall line inches closer to the GTA, we are likely to encounter some heavy downpours, thunder, lightning, maybe even small hail. It does appear as though it's weakening somewhat as it inches closer to us. But if you have outdoor plans this evening, please have a backup indoor option or somewhere safe you can go. When thunder roars, it is time to head indoors. 7-day forecast tomorrow is another muggy day. Chance of showers in the morning, followed by some clearing in the afternoon. The weekend is relatively cooler. Might get some cloud cover at times on Saturday. Chance of showers into Sunday morning, but overall not a bad weekend. Look at next week. Once again, Natalie and Nathan, we are going to be dealing with some heat and temperatures in the 30s, especially Monday, Tuesday.
Okay, thank you, Lindsay. Be sure to join Anne-Marie Meadowig tonight at 11 for CTV National News, followed by Zoraida Allman with our next local newscast at 11:30.
Meantime, our coverage continues anytime on CP24 and online at ctvnewstoronto.ca.
For Lindsay Morrison and all of us here at CTV News, thank you for watching. Have a good night.